Hi, Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone. Welcome to PAM Online Seminar. I'm Nani Muhammad Noor, will be your MC as well as moderator. It's good to see you in this beautiful Saturday. Today we have a very interesting topic. But first, we have architect Heng See Imm in the house to discuss on the joy of missing out Jomo in construction dispute. How? But before that, we are sorry as today we can't stream this lecture in PAM FB Live as we have to keep away to PAM Award program that is currently running now. So if you have the points, kindly log into Zoom webinar by requesting the registration link by email to pamonlineseries@gmail.com. I repeat, pamonlineseries@gmail.com. Before we begin, allow me to read out some house rules for this technical talk. On the attendance policy, sign in and sign out code will pop up on your screen for 20 minutes. What you have to do is you need to write down or copy or memorize this code and to fill out the questionnaire form that will be projected on the screen at the end of the webinar. We are pleased to remind you that simply clicking the poll does not indicate you have signed in or signed out. Secondly, any form of screen recording, sharing, or reproducing the content of this lecture in audio or writing is prohibited. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, allow me to introduce our speaker today, architect Heng See Imm. Ms. Heng, an architect by profession, has always been fascinated with construction dispute resolution matters. She is also currently an adjudicator, mediator, arbitrator, CIPA consultant, accredited building inspector, and expert witness in court. With her experience in dealing with construction dispute matters, she has reached out to the industry players by sharing and creating the awareness in the industry by providing advice in preventive action plan, dispute avoidance, and corrective action plan, dispute mitigation or resolutions, without involving complicated and costly litigation processes. She strongly believes that there is always a better way and platform in order to minimize unnecessary stress, dispute in our life. Without further delay, over to you, Architect Heng.
Thank you so much, Nani. Okay, good morning to everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you to PAM for inviting me, and also thank you all for joining me in today in this beautiful Saturday morning. Okay, let me just share my screen before we can start the slide. Right, now, Jomo in construction dispute. I'm going to talk about Dr. Jomo here today throughout my whole presentation, how he is going to deal with the construction dispute method. So for those of you who may not know who is Dr. Jomo, you can actually Google about him and read about him after the session. And for those who know about him, perhaps now in your mind, you should be thinking, what is Dr. Jomo is going to do with construction dispute? Besides, the name is similar to the topic today, right? Okay, that's actually a good sign. Why I said so? Because you are not only physically together with me now, actually you are preparing yourself. Your mental is preparing actually for listening to this talk today. So of course, it's just a joke. I'm not talking about him today. So back to our topic, Jomo in construction dispute. What is that? And why? Why I want to share this topic today? I think it's very important because most of the architects that we are practicing nowadays, we tend to enter into a construction dispute without our knowledge, unconsciously, be it directly or indirectly. And there are so many disputes out there that architects has been dragged in. Some has been hauled to court. And me, myself, has actually went through the journey. So that's why I'm here today to share with you what I know and what I have learned so far. So moving on, I would like to just let you have a rough picture. What are you going to expect from me today? Right. Today outline is going to be, first of all, I would like to emphasize again, what is Jomo, right? And then we'll do a reality check that you will have some ideas what construction dispute is all about and how likely it will actually come to us. And then I will share with you two of my story, which I think is hardly happened. And I have actually a couple of stories to share, just that I'm mindful of the time. So I only can pick two, which I think is good that you be aware of. And also, how are we going to avoid future dispute? So last but not least, I'm going to conclude my presentation with a summary. So let's move on. What is Jomo? Now, I ponder over what is Jomo. Looking at this photo here, what can you sense or what can you see from the expression of this lady? It's actually FOMO. What is FOMO? Fear of missing out. Any one of you here have the fear of missing out in construction dispute? I don't think so, right? No one of us want to involve in construction dispute. We just want to enjoy our life as an architect, right? So the contrast of fear, what is this? Look at the beautiful picture here. The baby is full of joy. They are smiling. They are happy. So this is Jomo. This is what I want, right? So joy of missing out. So the full title of today is Joy of Missing Out in Construction Dispute. So I hope no one get lost, right? Back to the question of this baby. Why? Why their smile, the smiling face is so genuine? We call it like genuinely happy, you know? Why? Why we as an architect, we can't have that smile anymore after we have been graduated. When the day we graduated, we enter into a workplace, right? We're full of joy. We are happy. You want to start design, you want to start create a sculpture in the city. But why nowadays we can't have that kind of joy anymore? And day in, day out, we are facing a lot of problems in our project. So before we move on, I'd like you all to have some broad picture of how likely this is going to happen. So I would like to have some reality check here. Now, I want you to activate 100% of your brain power. I'm going to pose you a questions here. Don't be panicked. If let's say you can pass PAM Part 3 exam, this is nothing for you, all right? Now, my question is, headache and migraine is like a common sickness in every one of us. I have that too. So when headache and migraine happen, what will you do? I've actually got multiple choice questions, right? A, you can choose, I don't know. B, you can choose to take a Panadol and then go to rest. C, you'll start to think, why? Why migraine and headache hit me today? So for those who don't experience this, you can assume that you have it and then which is your choice. And for those, maybe you don't want to assume that, you can just choose A, I don't know, because you've never experienced that before. So I appreciate that if, let's say, you can text your answer in the chat box now. Let me see how your thoughts on this. It's a very simple question. I think it shouldn't take you more than 1 second. All right, I can see C. Wow, that's great. Drink more water. That's good. All right, B, C, C. Okay, good, good. So most likely a lot of people choose C. Think about why you have migraine. That is very good. Keep these questions with you. Keep the answer that you just choose with you. I shall revisit this together with you at the end of my session. All right? So moving on. Let me see. Okay, I think construction dispute is just migraine and headache. It will give us headache and migraine, although it's not physically, but it will somehow affect us. It's in our subconscious mind. That will affect our daily life. That will cause us cannot sleep at night, right? I had that problem with me a couple of years ago. So now I have overcome it with some of my method. Now, as an architect, whenever I have a dispute that happen on us, these are the questions that we should actually sit down and ask ourselves. So by asking the questions, no one can give definite answer. You have to find out answer and solutions by yourself. So you can always check discuss, ask for opinion, seek for advice from seniors members, from fellows architects, from friends. But that is only advice. Whatever decision you make is actually your decision, and you have to take the consequences on every decision that you have made. So we have been busy doing our job as an architect, design, right? That is the main job of us, doing designing, maybe going to site. But have you ever spent some time to sit down and ponder over all this construction dispute? When likely it will happen? Is it happen only at the early stage of your career, or at the end stage of your career? Or is it likely going to happen during the early stage of the project? There are two things here. One is like your career pathway. Another part is the project pathway, right? So you have to look at it. At which stage likely the construction dispute will happen? And then where? Only on site with contractor? Only in a developer's office with developer? How about in office? Will have any dispute or not with colleagues or bosses, right? And with who? Likely we will have dispute. I think nowadays, not only developer, you may actually call up to attend to a dispute between developer and the purchaser. So it's actually indirectly affecting you as well. Now, why? Why this dispute happen? Why only us have to face all this dispute, right? Can't we just sit down and enjoy our designing work? Can't we just sit down to do what we enjoy doing? So, do you think that construction dispute only happen for a small job like this, painting and tiling? Or it only happen during renovation job? Or perhaps only happen for a new bungalow project? Or perhaps mixed development, right? So it can happen anywhere, anytime, but when is it likely going to happen to you? This is the most important questions. So I think now you roughly have some idea on how likely construction dispute will actually hit us indirectly or directly, right? You have some rough idea. I think your mind already has some mind mapping now. That is very good. So moving forward, wake up call. I've learned for many, many years. I've entered into many, many, many disputes that I even cannot count. And this is truly a wake-up call for me. I always believe life will teach us the same lesson again and again until we learned. And I indeed had learned. Of course, I don't dare to say that by having the lesson that I've learned, I've put action on it, I can eliminate 100% of the dispute. No, life after all is not perfect. Okay, I'm not striking for 100%, but at least I can bring down easily 80%. I'm not involving. So I left out the 20%, but it's fine. I'm able to handle it. All right. So this is the first story I'm going to share. It's about me and ABC developer. I think it's very common. We have a dispute with developer. There's no something rare, but for my case here, it's very, very hard to find. Maybe I think I'm the only case happened so far, and the complaint has been lodged, right? So what is that? Scale of minimum fees. It's a conflict between me and ABC developer pertaining to the scale of minimum fees. So what happened was, I think sometimes in year 2014 or 2016, I can't really remember because so many cases already. Right, I was appointed by ABC developer to actually design for a 3-story terrace house, total 56 units, involved DO and BP. DO in Penang, we call it layout plan. So it involved the full swing of the project from A to Z, from layout plan submission until building plan submission, until tender construction, until the end, until CCC. All right. So for this project, the original contract sum, 140K. Some of you may be shocked. Why is it so cheap? Some of you may be said, wow, you can get so good paid in Penang, right? So 140K is only 2.5K per unit. So do you think I'm compliant to scale minimum fees? Answer is very obvious, right? So I submitted 2 times of DO. Why 2 times? I think it's very common for developer when they buy a piece of land. They want to maximize everything. So we managed to squeeze in 1 unit of bungalow, which I charged them as a BO for 10K. Is it cheap? Super cheap, right? Now, the total revised contract sum, 150K. So what happened was, after approval of DO and PP, I submitted my invoice. I claimed for RM 28K, which I'm entitled for because I completed the particular stage of work. Now, inside my invoice, I have a 30 days payment term. I'm afraid that people won't pay me. So I put that in, right, to be safe. This is not the first invoice. I think about the 4th invoice. Yeah, they have paid me progressively as what I claim. So they haven't raised anything about this, like why you put 30 days payment term. So it's like keep on appearing in every invoice. Of course, they don't pay me on time. So for this invoice, I didn't expect they pay me on time as well. But what happened was I wait for the news. 3 months after the invoice submitted, I eventually received a phone call. They actually don't agree with my VO of 1 unit of bungalow. They said, no, we never approved that. Of course, I was very unhappy. I tried to justify it because they signed on the approved plan, they signed on the layout plan, they signed everything. They should have been aware that that is 1 unit of bungalow exists, right? Now, the actual things behind their mind was they actually want to ask for discount, and then they want me to issue Form B. Only then they will pay me according to what they think is reasonable. Okay, so they stop all the payment. We have a lot of discussion going on. So they tell me this, actually they told me this. They only allowed me to claim 4K for a 1 unit of 3-story bungalow. All right, so total revised contract sum is 144K. With the condition, I must issue Form B. Now, my questions to you, if let's say you are in my situation, will you issue Form B? And why you choose yes and why you choose no, right? There is some consequences we need to think. Because I wouldn't know whether I issue Form B, after I issue Form B, they can start commencement the work outside, whether they're going to pay me or not, it's still a big question mark. And if let's say I don't issue Form B, what will happen? So my mind is actually playing around with all this situation, the scenario. So obviously amount in dispute is 28K. And we cannot come to an amicable solution on this. So obviously conflict is there. We have a dispute on this particular only 28K. For a big firm, it's actually a very small amount, but I'm a sole proprietorship and I'm a small practicing architect in Penang. So it's actually a big amount to me. So one day, actually the board of directors want to see me. They arrange a meeting. So a couple of people actually attended, and I did my homework, of course. I don't go there just with the empty hand. I bring along scale minimum fees. I also did my homework. What I did was, I have done the fees comparison in between my fees and the scale minimum fees. So by comparing the fees, it's actually a very big figure. It's very hard to convince people on big figure. So I try to be very smart. I try to deduct any estimated cost, the expenses, printing costs, whatever that I can deduct it. Then I break down the fees into monthly basis, like how much actually I can get from them in net. So do you think they will buy off my idea or not? By having this smart thought. So I already explained to them also my liability. When my liability will end. I quote them the Highland Tower example as well. Guess what? Nothing happened. They disagree with me totally. So I emphasize that scale of minimum fee is just like an apple. Now you are comparing apple to a langsat. So it's like so much different. For this project, right, if let's say I quoted according to a scale minimum fees, I should be able to get about 950K. Now my fees is only 150K. Furthermore, they want to deduct. They want to ask for discount. So to me, it's not fair. So obviously, the discussion failed miserably. I had to just walk away. And time flies. Both of us just move on with our life. I have my own things to taking care of and keep on busy with my own things. I just don't bother, just keep on follow up. I still keep on follow up. Nothing happened. But what happened was 11 months later. Guess what happened? Do you think they will pay me? No. I received a love letter. Don't get me wrong, I'm not in love with Lisa. Actually, I received a love letter from Lembaga Architect Malaysia. I was shocked. I really shocked. What happened was this ABC developer lodged a report to Lembaga Architect Malaysia saying that I simply charged them without any basis. So do you think as an architect, if let's say you are in my shoe, is it fair? Right, I have done my part, I have done everything I have done, and I have put up my invoice, and they sit there for 3 months, only they come back to me, and now drag another 11 months. Then they give me this. Right, of course I'm very angry. But beside angry, I have to think logically, what can I do? I have to reply to them, what can I do? So by having disciplinary action will be taken against me. So what can I do? I want you to exercise your brain again. I have multiple choice questions here, easy. A, you can choose to say, I don't know. B, just admit your mistake. C, submit evidence to LAM. D, direct call out ABC, ask for settlement, and with condition, they have to withdraw the case from LAM. So bear in mind, the settlement that you are looking for is just that to agree with them what previously they have proposed. So do you think it's fair? Do you think you are willing to take that? So please let me know what's your answer in the chat box. I want to see your response on this. A lot of C. There's very logic. Crush, kill, and destroy. Oh my God. Why so aggressive? Right. Okay, good. Some said admit first mistake of not charging the skill minimum fees. All right, I go with D. All right. Okay, most of you actually choose C. Right. Yeah, let me share with you what I did during that time. Actually sit down and think. I have a paper with me. I list down a lot of things. I have a lot of what if in my mind, you know. I have a lot of worst case scenario is going to happen. What if this happened? What if that happened? And then what is the consequences of that scenario? If let's say I take certain action. So after make up my mind, I actually spent 4 days. This is only first reply. I spent 4 days to sit down, compile all the documents, plans, drawings, as much as I can, emails, WhatsApp, chat. So how much time that I need to spend on this, you see? So first of all, I of course apologize to LAM. So I always believe when you want to do something wrong, right? You do it first, then you apologize, ask for forgiveness. That is better than to ask for permission, right? But don't practice this, it's not every time work, right? Number 2, I list out all the chronology of events, and it took me a long time because this project has been started for a couple of years before I enter into this dispute. So I have to really put down all those things in proper manner. And third, calculation of fees. Based on my fees, how much I charge and why, I justify that. And scale of minimum fees, I make a comparison. And invoices, of course, I submitted to them that there are certain invoices have been paid off as well. We have to be very genuine and honest to LAM. It's not that they totally owe me. So an explanation on how the dispute happened. So back to the invoices, right? I explained to LAM by having the concept that this developer is actually agreed to the fees. upfront already. So they cannot come back to me and say that, no, they want to force me to do this. And then the progress of payment is already stated very clearly. And this is not the first invoice. So this is one I want to highlight to them. So everything I submit in. Last but not least, first I apologize. But lastly, I pandai lah, because I try to be very sincere, very honest. I put down an undertake statement that I won't repeat this anymore. And I will actually follow the scale minimum fees. Perhaps most of you now behind the camera will be laughing at me. But seriously, I'm very stressed out for this particular dispute. So with 2 replies, very standard. When you get any complaint, LAM will send you one, ask you to reply, and then the second time you need to reply again, 2 replies. So after getting these 2 replies, if let's say you are in my situation, will you just sit down and wait for LAM result? Or what can you do? What if LAM result is negative? You may face certain disciplinary action, and it may actually affect your others project, which is ongoing. I wouldn't know. So I have a lot of what if again in mind. I'm very worried, in fact, I'm very worried. I just cannot sit on the dispute without doing anything. So what I did, I took a very drastic action as a backup from myself. Actually, I SIPA ABC developer to get back my 28K. So perhaps some of you may say, are you crazy with the 28K? You go to take some sort of legal action. But I think I have no choice, because at the time, I think I'm entitled for it. So I should fight for my own justice and fairness, or else who are going to fight for me, right? So they actually appointed a lawyer to come after me. So few correspondence has been exchanged. So for those who understand SIPA, it's actually started off from a payment claim, and then the other party actually served a payment response to me, and then I putting out a notice of adjudication before adjudicator appointed. Now, soon before adjudicator appointed, I have a very good news from LAM. Case dismissed. So LAM actually ruled in favor of me. He said that I didn't do anything wrong. In fact, the developer should follow a scale notice, but they didn't follow, and now they actually try to adduce that actually I'm the one who charged without basis, right? So I'm happy with the LAM letter, and this I think it's very good evidence for me to submit to the adjudicator. I'm sure that I'm going to win the case. So I go all out. Adjudicator was on board. So what happened was, soon after adjudicator on board, you know, I get a phone call, a surprise phone call from the ex-staff of this developer. And this ex-staff had left the company, in fact, but they know that she is very close with me, like as a friend. So she called up and she said, they asked for settlement. Of course, I don't give in. To me, so many discussion has been done, but nothing turned out. I said, don't waste my time anymore. It's enough. I have a lot of things to deal with. So she persuaded me to have an open mind. Just sit down and listen. So, okay, because she's my friend, I try to give face a bit, right? So I want to see what they can offer me. Of course, in my subconscious mind, I still want to fight for my justice. I still want my fairness back. I have done what I can do as an architect. Now, on the other side, I can hear that actually they are very desperate. They want to settle. So this lady asked me, what actually you want from them now in order to settle this dispute? I said, very simple. I just want back my money. Pay me 28K with all the cost. And of course, she said, okay, she will come back to me. So a few hours later, she called up again and we talked. She said, okay, they agreed to your request, but with condition, I must withdraw the case from SIPA. So of course, this is not the first dispute I enter in. So I'm mindful that if let's say I withdraw SIPA, how about they don't pay me? Then I have to reinitiate again, you know. So I have no time. So what I mentioned to this lady, ask them to pay me within 1 week. I want it fast, that's it. And then I will immediately withdraw the case. So true enough, within 1 week, they pay me. and I withdraw the case. I also issue a release letter. I just walked away from this project. I can't deal with it anymore. So that is my true story. So much stress on this project. And just to get back 28K took them more than a year. And end up, because of SIPA, within 1 week, they paid me because they want to move on. They cannot hold back too long. They have to be move on with their project so that they can sign up with the purchaser and then do the construction work as well. So back to the questions of Jomo in construction dispute. What have I learned from this case? So what is the lesson learned here? You have to follow skill of please. Don't laugh behind the camera. I know you are laughing. It's like nobody will actually pay you on that. Actually, there is. There are still some good clients out there. They are willing to pay you as what you're entitled for as a professional architect, right? We can have another session on this. I know AI Izumi actually have a talk on this, which is a very, very good talk. If let's say you have time, I don't know whether Pam have any Facebook on this link or not. You can actually go and visit. It's a very comprehensive on how we should adopt to this. So second, in my LOA clauses, I actually adding in dispute resolution clause and also no discount clause. So whoever want to sign contract with me have to read carefully. I already stated so. You don't come back and say that no, I didn't agree. You already signed. So I also learned something from my own mistake. What I didn't do was I didn't draft a letter of appointment and explain to the developer and ask them to sign off the draft before I issue them the original to sign off, the true copy to sign off. So this is what I lack of. So now I'm practicing what I lack of those days. And it actually works. You have to sit down and explain to them each and every clauses. And for the dispute resolution clauses, actually you can explain to them, it's actually benefit to both parties. It's a win-win situation. It's not only I have dispute with you, you may also not happy with my service. So whenever we have dispute, what can we do? So we no need to think, sit down and think, it's just direct, follow what we agreed in the contract. That's it, simple. And I also learned something, I must have the ability to walk away. So that is my take for my own lesson. Now, Jomo in construction dispute, I want to hear from you all. What is your view on this? And if let's say you are in my situation, what will you do? Okay, I wonder, is it some questions in the chat or not? All right, there's no.
Yeah, let me double check since there's no question so far. So I think maybe you.
Encourage participants to actually unmute yourself. You want to have music. I understand sometimes it's very hard to type, to express that what you want to say. Perhaps if you want to talk, is it they need to raise your hand or how?
The participant can either post in the chat box provided in the Zoom. We have a chat box down there, right? So you can just post the question there. I can read out for you.
Okay.
But so far, there's no question.
So far, any questions or not? I welcome comment, not only question, I welcome comment, or I welcome your thoughts or maybe your way of dealing with this dispute. Because I'm not expert in resolving dispute. I'm still learning. I would like to hear from all of you. How will you solve this problem if let's say you are in my shoe? Anyone?
Yeah, we have one post from Yap Chu giving his point of view. You want me to read out for you or you want to read on your own?
I can read on my own. Thanks, Nani. I think you can see that.
All right, okay.
My point of view is difficult for all. Let me see, the chat keep on running out. Okay, my point of view is difficult for all members to follow skill communities as they are victim to current so-called market value. When the stress add in to survive in this world, violation. Nani, I have some issue with the.
Okay, let me read out for you.
Yeah.
All right. Yep, Chu mentioned that my point of view is difficult for all members to follow SOMF as they are victim to current so-called market value. When the stress add in to survive in this world, violation to SOMF will eventually happen. LAM will need to do something in this, otherwise it can never resolve.
I agree and I also disagree. Let me share with you why I agree. I understand the stress that everyone is having now, but somehow, if let's say everyone having that fear that we cannot get job by following scale minimum fees, then forever we'll have this so-called market value, right? And why I said I disagree. Why not we just take ourselves to look at another perspective? What if every one of us just stick to scale or minimum fees? And now, bear in mind, we are professional. Actually, developer need us, It's not that we need them more, they need us. Without us, they have no one to actually design for them, sign for them, right? So you have to have some open mind and then think beyond what you see in the market now. So when everyone just stick to that, so whichever architect they go, they are not going for the shopping forum, shopping for architect. Okay, you give me this quotation, and then I compare with architects B. No, we are killing each other by doing this. We stick to scale or minimum fees. And then by having that, we can actually tell the developer, look, we are having the same fees. So what you should decide is which one can provide you a better service, or which one can provide you with a specialist job that you want. For example, hospital design. It's not all architects can do. Me, I can't. I don't have the expertise on this, right? So I think we should change a bit of our mindset. And actually, me myself, actually after this incident, right, with all the new project I followed, and I managed to convince my client. Of course, you don't talk about big developer. I don't aim for big. To me, I just want to enjoy my work. So I go for small time individual clients. They are willing to pay. They are okay. They are fine. In fact, they are very good paymaster compared to developer. That I can tell you honestly. Yeah. So other than that, anything else?
Okay, we received one more posting from Taiwei or Adam Law. Mentioned that difficult to enforce SOMF as long as there are still practices out there giving ridiculous discount in fees.
And who is the one who caused all this? All of us. We have to bear the consequences. So when things happen, don't just blame others by doing that. I always look at myself, what can I do so that I won't fall into the same problem, right? So if let's say everyone just take the responsible on your side by just follow, then everything will change. Everything will change. Okay. Okay, I can see something. Just now because my screen is like keep on blacked out. No, I don't know what happened. It's like the line keep on blacked out. I can't see the question. Now I can see. Let me read myself. Yeah, Nani, thank you so much.
Sure. All right.
Okay, I can see. I may miss some of the text, but I try my very best to read it. I will sue the developer without any hesitation. My advice is we must be very, very tight in our own abilities from day one. Especially if other staff are handling projects, must always check our own work and especially our staff works, including architect in charge. From architect Stephen Liu. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, that could be one of the avenue you can go. But although I use SIPA, actually I don't really encourage you to go for SIPA. If let's say there's a lot of platforms, for example, mediation, right? But mediation, you have to talk about win-win situation, you have to see the underlying interest, and perhaps you may not turn out well. So SIPA has its pros and cons. From my experience, I can see a lot of cons nowadays rather than pro. So unlike those days when I started off to SIPA in this particular project, that I got a very good feedback on that. Okay. Double or nothing from Julius Ong Siu Kiet. Double or nothing for wasting your time, duress, mental stress, emotional trauma. Yeah, it is. Although to many of you, perhaps you have faced more bigger challenges compared to me. But I just can't take small little things that affected me. So I will actually go all out to see how to settle it. Yeah, Muhammad Fazil, skill minimum fees already minimum, we should charge more. Yeah, I fully agree, support you. The issue of skill minimum fees and payment control had been on and on for at least for last 20 plus years. Still on and on without any further announcement from Land or PAM. Again, from Architect Stephen Liu. And I think back to the question of do things that we can control. If let's say we keep on relying on Land or PAM to do something, I don't know when. So instead of don't know when that will happen, that one day will come that we can charge according to skill minimum fees, why not? We just be a responsible architect, responsible for our own rice bowl, right, so-called, and ended up we can actually have a better kind of environment for all of us to have an equal opportunity to have the project. If let's say you charge based on skill minimum fees, I can assure you everyone has the equal opportunity and we will be able to actually go, move on with the project, and then you are able to sustain with it. Right. Okay. If possible, avoid work for developers. Yeah, but sometimes when you enter into a dispute, you won't know. This is from Edmund Koo. You won't know. Just like they will show you a very nice face, you know. So when you enter into the contract, yeah, everything is just nice, very nice, right? So when things move on, then a lot of real things will coming in, then you will know already their true self. From Chong Chi Kyung is everyone fees or skill is the same. Why will the client choose you, a small unknown architect, to do the job than award-winning big and famous architect? Okay, so this is the question that we need to ask ourselves. What can we offer? What are we better than others in terms of service, in terms of expertise, in terms of knowledge, in terms of our skill, right? So every one of us is very unique. It's very unique. Yeah, we have same qualification. We are an architect, we are AR, but what else that is going to add value for that project that others don't have? You have to discover and explore that, right? Rather than compare on money, on fees that we're going to charge. We have to compare what can we offer, what can the client get the best out of us, and what are we good at to actually contribute, to help, right? This is only my point of view. I'm not here to say that you must agree with me, just that this is my thought lah. So if our professional, we do not, let me see, check that off. From Emilia James, if we ourselves as professionals do not protect the interests of our own profession, who else will? Yes, that is my point. So every one of us has just do our own part, play our own role. That's it. Don't expect anyone come and impose something. You must do this, you must do that. Skill minimum fees is already there, but no one practicing, or many very minimum people are practicing. Why? Right? So don't keep on saying that no, LAM is not doing anything, PAM is not doing anything. But we should ask is what can we do so that we can change, right? Okay, from B. Chi Peng. What is your opinion that we ask architects to follow the skill base, but of the employee salary are always below market value? Again, how you define market value for your employees? How you define market value, right? You have to have some bar chart, and then how you evaluate your staff or your employee in order to give them such a salary. So as an employee that who may actually stay with us today, it's good that you prove to your boss, the employer, that you have the ability, you have the skill and knowledge to contribute to the company. That is the value that you should add to the company. So that's how you can gain the market value, right? You can get paid more than others, which is the same qualification as you, which have the same years of experience as you. So that's how actually we should have our own mindset. Don't always thinking of, yeah, I already get my AR, I get my cert, I'm entitled for it, I'm a degree holder, I must get 4,000. why people must pay us 4,000? Same goes to us as an architect. We go for a job, follow skill and minimum fees. Why people must pay you according to a skill and minimum fees? You have to justify that, right? So everything come up with a reason. Ask why. You have to define yourself first. Only then we can discuss on and talk further on this. Yeah, architect Stephen Liu. I think I don't suggest SIPA as a reason with the experience. My own preference is wide legal claim, wide court proceedings. Actually, SIPA cost maybe as much cost case, but court case has the advantage of letting the public know. Once a case is lodged, it appears in CTOS. Okay, yeah, I got your point. But by having just that, quoting back my example just now, 28K, my own case. For the 28K, if let's say you go to court, you cannot get back maybe the 28K, you won't know. It depends on the lawyer. But you have to fork out the money to appoint a lawyer. How much a lawyer will charge? You know, recently there's a contractor called me up, asked me to draft a letter. He asked me how much he's going to charge for one letter that you help me to draft. I want to chase for my payment. Actually, I quite on and off frequently and in an ad hoc basis, engaged by a contractor to help them all this thing, drafting letter and overlooking that their architects reply all this thing. So I said no. I think for your case, I won't charge. And why? Because it won't cost me that much of time. I can easily draft the letter within 15 minutes. I said. So I said, okay. Then after I finished the letter, he told me that the lawyer that he asked to help want to charge him 500 for one letter. So if let's say for the court case on 28K, how much the lawyer will charge you? And perhaps end of the day, you may not claim back the cost. We have to see, whenever dispute coming in, we have to see in the bigger picture. We have to analyze it, to strategize it, and which is the best solution to go, right? There's no one size fits all answer. We need to sit down and think, what is our situation now? Are we in upper hand? Do we have enough documents, right? So after that, only we can see, okay, what is the avenue we can go for? There are so many ADR out there, all right? So this is how I look at it. So I don't think so it's good to go for court proceeding. So luckily, SIPA is here to help me for that case. Right. Jun Wai Hoi was saying award-winning architect should charge higher. Okay, it depends. It depends. You have to justify your fees, as I said. Skill minimum fees is just the minimum fees. You can charge more than that. All right. I think I spent more than 10 minutes, right? I should actually go back to my slide. So I will address some questions later. Let us move on, yeah? I will address your question at the end of the session. We still have time for Q&A. Okay, let's move on. Now, my second story, another very hardly happened story, which I think you all should be aware of. It's between me and another architect, all right? What happened was, I think in year 2014, this one, I was appointed by architect for a 3-story plus 1 basement bungalow, only 2 units. And total contract sum is 96K. So disputed amount is only 15K. It's not much. It's not much. So my role is actually to run the project management part, right? That means the architect will have their own design and they pass on to me. I need to deal with the client, need to discuss. If let's say any amendment, I will go back to the architect and then ask them to amend it. So after confirmation of all the design, I will actually prepare the layout plan and building plan submission. So I have done all that. And together with tender document, construction drawing, until monitoring the work on site until the end, right? So this is my job scope. Now, what happened was upon approval of building plan, I submitted my invoice. Building plan approval, I charge 5K. There is an overdue payment for 10K. Total claim is about 15K. What is the challenges that I face in this project was, actually, I don't have any contract, right? I don't have any payment term. I based on trust. Because as a professional, I can trust them as a professional. So I don't have all this. I just keep on doing my things and then I submit my invoice. And the third invoice I submitted come out to a total claim of 15K. And actually they refused to pay me with reason, of course. So without contract, without payment term. What I have, I only have email. I have correspondence email with them. I only have WhatsApp with the architect and also the developer itself. And I also have invoices. That's all I have. So how? Now I'm stuck again. So if let's say you're in my shoe, how? So the architect actually agreed to pay me, provided the developer pay them. So it's like conditional payment back to back. So when this conditional payment kick in, when are you going to know they are going to get paid from the developer? Only they can pay you, right? You won't know. So my question, at that time, I think I have a couple of disputes happening. So I keep on chasing for payment after I have rendered my service. I can't get much on that. So I have financial problem. So if let's say you are in my situation, what will you do? A, again, I don't know. B, sit and wait for miracle to happen. C, negotiate. D, follow up. Now, again, please chat in the chat box. I want to see what is your answer on this. D, C, okay, D, C and D, good. Oh, okay, okay, good. Thanks you for your response. Now, I will try to share with you what I've done. Normally, I don't like to negotiate. To me, it's wasting time because I have my own view. I have my own perspective. I have my own stand, and I'm very firm on what I'm doing. I know that I've delivered my job. I should entitle for that. So I won't negotiate. So I go on by following up. Okay. So again, keep on following up. Time flies again. And I respect myself so much that I can keep on following up for 1 year, you know. So 1 year later, do you think they pay me? No, actually nothing happened. Nothing happened. So what I did was, I actually very desperate for money. I'm stuck at the moment. There are a couple of people that actually owing me money, cannot pay me. So again, by having that in mind, I must fight for my own justice. I must fight for my own fairness, or else no one will fight for me. So always very gung-ho on all these things. I don't know whether it's right or wrong, but that becomes a character of mine because I know that I've done my part. So I'm very desperate. So what I did, I called up the developer. I talked to them. The developer is actually in a very good talking term with me. I just met him, I think, a couple of months ago, or maybe last year already. Yeah, we still can chit chat. So I told him, I said, look, I cannot continue working without payment. I need your help. Will you mind that you pay me first and then you deduct from this architect? He said, okay, sure. Let me look into that. But do you think he will pay me? Actually, nothing happened. It's nothing wrong with him, you know. I'm okay with no action has been taken by him. I'm fine. So now I'm stuck again. So what can I do? I cannot get any single payment after 1 year of follow-up. So until one day, Albert Einstein actually sent me a text with this message to me. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So that's me. I'm the insane lady. I keep on doing the same thing, expecting different results. Nothing will change. Already 1 year, right? So what is the action that I take? Again, I have no choice. I go for SIPA. Because why I choose SIPA? I have no contract. How to sue? And then it's only 15K. Is it worth it to get a lawyer in? No, obviously. And go for SIPA, I can save the cost of hiring a consultant. I can do it myself because I'm an adjudicator. I know very well I can save a lot of cost on this. And again, I want to clarify, I'm not here to support SIPA. It's just that happen to be all my cases that I stuck, I cannot get the way out. I just have this last result for me. So I go for SIPA to fight for this 15K. I still remember an Indian adjudicator from Alosta was on board. He is a lawyer. So now, by having him on board, I actually submitted what I have email, I have WhatsApp, I have approved plans to show that actually I have done my part. I have authorities letters. I also have invoices. So this is what I have. So good things about SIPA is whatever agreement in writing, you already can take it under the venue of SIPA. So of course, after 45 days, I get my award. So I get my money back by then, 15K. They pay me promptly as what has been directed by the adjudicator. Now, back to my topic. Jomo in construction dispute. What is the lesson learned? I've learned something here. I must have a written contract, LOA, regardless with who that I'm having this construction relationship with. Why I quoted this case? Because this is the only case I don't have any LOA. And I also do understand maybe there are some of you still doing signing work for others, or we call it rubber stamping job. I'm not saying that there's right or wrong to do. I leave it to you to think about it, but you have to be mindful on what you are doing. So most of that, you may not have a written contract. It's just that, okay, I signed for this plan, how much you're going to pay me per signature, that kind of thing. I'm aware about that because I'm also one of them those days. And then after all this dispute happened, I actually terminated all the project that I signed for others. Almost all. That I'm not confident and I cannot trust the other party that is doing the project. So I leave it to you to justify it, why you want to carry on that. And if let's say you feel not comfortable, you can always terminate a contract, right? So you must have a written contract. This is my point here. And your LOA clauses, you must have a conditional payment void. No conditional payment is allowed, which means that pay when paid. You only get your payment when the other party pay the party that you are in contract with. No, that doesn't work that way. How about the other party don't pay them? They won't pay you, right? So we have to think ahead on all this. So a condition to stop work. By when I didn't receive my payment, I will stop work, not terminate, stop work until you pay me. And then of course, I also will impose late payment interest. I drag it for 1 year. If let's say this 15K I'm going to put in the bank. Of course, it's a very little, but how about huge amount, right? And for those who is on loan with bank, you need to serve the bank for interest, right? So I add in all this in my LOA, right after the dispute happened. So my LOA just keep on changing every time. Every dispute that hit me, I've learned, then I will enhance it, I will improve it, I will make sure my LOA is solid proof as much as I can to protect myself, my interests. So now my questions back to you. Jomo in construction dispute, what have you learned from this lesson? And what can you deal with this differently? If let's say you are in my situation. I welcome questions from all of you. I can see, I think I should set a timer. Now it's 12. I can leave about 10 minutes for this Q&A so that we can move on with another topic. Okay, I'm looking at the chat now. I see that architect Stephen Liu saying that I truly agree with you. We are the only one having the interest and control and the outcome from beginning to the end. Yeah, that is what I want to say. Do things that you can control. Don't do things that you cannot control. Okay, how much SIPA charge for 15K job? Okay, SIPA actually you have to see that if let's say you need to appoint a SIPA claim consultant, there will be a charges imposed, and it really depends. There's a lot of market value out there. There's no guideline on this. It depends on the claim consultant themselves. All right. And for the adjudicator, I think for that case, I pay for 2,000 something, and ended up I get back all the costs. I get back all the costs that I paid off. Okay, someone was saying, how long was the process? Okay, 105 days for SIPA. From the day you file in payment claim until you get your adjudication decision. Someone was saying, Alphonsus Tan, I hope I pronounce your name correctly. Go SIPA faster, a lesson learned, go SIPA faster. Don't get me wrong, I don't encourage people to go SIPA, especially nowadays, a lot of case law has been set aside. A lot of decision has been set aside. Is that wrong if we don't issue Borang B due to no payment and they will get lost due to can't start work? They can do whatever they want, but so long that you covered yourself in your letter of appointment. So you actually stated that no discount, all those things that I shared just now, it's like I will stop doing work, I will stop my work if let's say I didn't get any payment. So all these things actually need to cover yourself. So for a construction dispute, right, once party already agreed in the contract they have signed. So those terms is actually express term is valid, and they cannot come back and say that no, they disagree, you have to issue Borang B, and then now we are suffered loss because we can't start work. But even though you go to the court, the judge actually will ask, what cause you cannot start work? Actually back to square one, because you didn't pay the architect, right? Yeah, pay when paid clause is or practice is illegal under SIPA is correct. Yeah, that's true. Let me go to the Q&A chat. Let me see what else. See some questions. It's mandatory under LAM for architects to adopt MOA as per Architects Act and rules, but the rule is obliged. Is obligated. Okay. I think yes, we actually have to follow strictly to our Architects Act and rules, but happen to be no one is following the skill minimum fees, and so far no action has been taken, and no case that has been taken and sued in court because of this. So it can be very it's quite a loose kind of so-called no law kind of practice, right? So I don't know why LAM didn't make it mandatory on this. It's like an act, you have to comply to the act. I don't understand why. So sorry meant developers are not obligated. Okay, yeah, they are not obligated to, of course. Of course, they are not obligated to, but it's you yourself. I think we as architects, we have to have a mindset that act as a professional, practice as a professional, abide to whatever rules and act which is available, and we are governed to the act and rules. That's it, right? Just follow with that. Then nothing complicated will happen. I think the worst case scenario, you will lose the job, but don't worry, the best one will come. Always have that mindset, the best one will come. This is the law of attraction. Don't worry about you can't get job, you can't get job. That is very negative mindset. You have to plan yourself. It's okay. It's all right. The good one will come, right? So from Chong Hee Wong, LAM or PAM should strictly impose all practicing architects to submit LOA to LAM. Make sure all following as fees many practicing architects. Very hard situation to impose every project based on minimum skill minimum fees. Yeah, I fully agree. But I don't know how that is going to happen. But as I said before, before we can, sorry, I think I should click the answer live so that you all can see the questions. Yeah, I may read the questions too fast. So as I said before, instead of waiting for LAM to do something or PAM to do something, we have to do something ourselves. Only us, we can protect our own interests, and nobody will actually protect us. Don't hope for people to protect us. So we have to really stand firm and do what we should do to protect our own interests. That's all I can do for myself. Yeah. Question from One City Hajar Omar. LAM had sent a circular to enforce architect to follow skill or minimum fees, but how about clients who are not willing to follow skill minimum fees? Should they be any penalized too? Can LAM do something about it? Thank you so much for your question, Siti. I'm afraid that I cannot answer these questions. Perhaps these questions can bring up to LAM. We can see how LAM can help us on this. And before LAM can help us, please do good for ourselves. Please do something for ourselves, right? I'm so sorry I can't answer your question, right? Because this is beyond my idea on how, and I'm not the authorized person to say this. So my current view on skill or minimum fees. If some big or medium big firms not following skill or minimum fees, there are probably no way for small practice to do that. If everyone charging skill or minimum fees, most likely developer will always go for big firm rather than choosing small practice, since they are going to pay the same skill minimum fees. I disagree. As I said before, I think how much a big firm can take up project, or how many projects can an architect handle at one time. So once you have taken up a lot of load, you may be just miss out a lot of detail on how you're going to handle the project, how to handle the project well. So by keep on getting all the project, just for example, like all those, since we charge according to skill minimum fees, all the others should go to big firms. It could happen, but what is the consequences of that? By having all the level go to the big firm, can the big firm cope or not? Do they have enough staff to cope? Another problem, right? So I think I disagree. What we should look at, we don't worry about what others is going to take away our rice bowl. We only need to worry, what am I good at? What can I offer to the developer? What can I offer to the industry? And what am I so different from others? Am I have certain skill that others don't have? So we should actually look at another angle. Focus on your own development. Focus to develop yourself, your skill, your knowledge, train your people, rather than worry. People are getting job. I'm not. That only will drag you back. You should think about why people can get job. Right? Tweak a little bit the question. Why others people can get job? Why not me? If let's say skill minimum fees is strictly followed by everyone, why the same fees I'm charging, but people don't get me? They are the questions that you should actually ponder over in order to help you to improve in terms of your skill or your weaknesses that you may not aware of. And then, only then, you can go back and compete with others architects out there based on our competency. All right. Okay. If everybody fees skill is the same, why will the client choose you, a small unknown architect? Okay, I think this is the same questions. I've just answered that. Another problem with most developer is, okay, let me answer live. Another problem with most developer is their format of LOA. I think a lot of us being trapped there. Either take it or leave it. Yeah. I always believe miseries happen because we allow it. Don't blame others for things that happen on us. Don't blame others. You are the one who is going to make decision whether you take it or not, whether you want to sign on the LA or not, whether you want to agree with the developer or not. Nobody force you, right? So you are the one who has to be responsible for your own decision that you have made, right? And then take the consequences thereafter. Yeah. There's one question from David. Yeah, Takwai. The current law holds the skill only governs architects, not the public. Yeah. So I think it's also back to the questions of we have to start from our own practice. We have to start from our own change by ourselves in order to hope that other people will change, right? All right. How do we go about a scenario whereby when the project is almost complete, the developer claims that they are facing cash flow problems and are unable to pay the remainder of our fees, let's say 20% of the liquid fees. realistically, is it worth it, the hassle of taking legal action, or should we cut off our losses and move on? Okay, it depends on your situation, the situation that you are in. If let's say your company able to sustain, and this developer is actually a genuine developer, they are actually a quite good paymaster, so no harm to help them out in order to help ourselves, right? Because we all as an architect, when we design something, we're full of joy. We want to have our end product. It's like our baby already born, but we can see the baby born, the development of the baby before it was born, after 9 months, right? So that is the mindset that I always have for myself. So I think for me, if let's say I'm in your situation, I will look at my current financial problem. If let's say I have no problem, I can discuss with the developer. Okay, I can actually discuss with them. Perhaps they can hold back to the fees, or maybe pay progressively. For example, 2,000 per month, don't pay in a lump sum. Break it down to a longer period to pay you, or they can actually withhold that 6 months. After 6 months, only then they can pay you. So it always depends on the situation you are in, and then how you're going to strategize it, and whether you are going to help the developer or not, right? Yeah, I don't think so it's good for legal action, because they already told you they cannot, are able to pay. It's not they don't want to pay, right? So there's a problem here. I think you should actually bear with it, with your current situation, and then what is the developer's situation. And some developer, they may just tell a lie, we won't know. Okay, I think time's up. 12:10 now, every 10 minutes. Let us move on to continue our session. I have to stop this. I will come back to the Q&A later, yeah? All right, we have finished this. Now, moving on. I've shared 2 of my real story. Then how? How are we going to avoid dispute in future, right? This is a very important part of it. Have everyone heard about risk management? This actually is one of the clauses in ISO. I know many of you already know what is ISO, but what is the full title of ISO? The International Organization for Standardization. You don't ask me why it's not iOS, why is ISO? I can't answer the questions. You perhaps have to get back to ISO to get the answer. And in this particular ISO clauses, right, I'm not going to dive deep into ISO, because my company is not ISO. It's not ISO certified. I just want to emphasize that what I have learned from this particular course that actually helped me to avoid dispute in my own practice. There are 4 points here in this risk management. First, you have to identify, right? Identify the issue. And then you have to prioritize. After identify, there are maybe 10 issues in your company. You have to prioritize by having a risk assessment. Which one is the top 3, the top ranking, the champion, right? And then from there, you have to have a mitigation plan, a control plan over the issue that you are having, right? And then having the plan is not enough. You have to monitor on the plan that you already taking action on, right? So this 4 is very important, and allow me to go a little bit detailed by quoting some examples so that you roughly get an idea how actually I work on to avoid dispute in my own practice by having this ISO clause. Now, just now we talk about all these 4. Identify, prioritize, mitigate, and then control. We'll look into detail one by one. Identify. What I will look for identification. What is the factor? All right. And then what is the issue that turn out from that factor? And how that will give impact on my own practice. What is the effect? So factors, there are 3. We're talking about internal factor, external factor, interested parties. There are 3 main factors here. So some example on internal factors. poor documentation, incompetence of person in charge, or perhaps I myself is not competent enough to handle the project, right? Financial problem, this is all internal within your company, within your control. How about external factors? What is that? Pandemic, just like the COVID. Nobody will know COVID will hit, and it take us so long, right? Economy, this is all external factors that will give effect on our company. Technology as well, these are all external factors. And what can we do by having all these issues been identified? So interested parties, who are those people that will give us issues and give impact to our practice? Developers, very obvious. Contractor, right? Purchaser, supplier, and consultants as well. So don't forget, local authority, they also give some effect on our project. So with so many factors that I just quoted, I want to choose particularly one, which is poor documentation. I think perhaps most of the architects still having this problem, right? So what are the issues that you will face with poor documentation? I quote an example, VO. Developer actually want you to change something on a drawing which already approved, and you change it. So you issue another VO, just like my first case, the bungalow project, right? Sorry, the first 1 unit of bungalow. So the VO already issued to the developer, but they refused to pay you because they said, no, I didn't instruct you. So this could happen because you don't have proper documentation to prove that they actually agreed, they actually instructed you to do that. Revised drawings, I think this is a very big problem in most of the architects' firm. It's very common that developer will ask us, come up with the draft first. So draft number 1, you send out already. So soon after, amend again. It can amend from A to Z. I think you can agree with me, right? After amendment from A to Z, end up they may choose, okay, I want C. So you may not keep a proper revised drawing with you. So how are you going to know which is C? Right? So that will actually give you an issue. So documentation. Now, what is the effect? You will receive a lot of complaint. Why complain? Things not done accordingly, right? SPA drawing error. This is very big problem, right? By having revised drawings not updated, mix up all the revised drawing, all the amendments, and the worst case is the developer can actually ask you to bear the cost. But let's say you cannot prove that you are right. They actually has instructed you to do so. So all these are actually risks. It's a risk to company. It's a risk to our practice. So it will actually hinder our progress. Now, we have already identified. So next, what we are going to do, prioritize. We have some risk assessment exercise. So just now I have a few factors that I quoted, but I particularly choose poor documentation. So before you can actually jump in to do the risk assessment, you have to go through the whole list first. You have to do your homework by having list down all the internal factors, external factors, interested parties. Who are they? And then, are they giving you any problem or not? What is the issue that raised? And what is the effects of that? You have to go through the first part for all the factors. Then only then you can sit down and think. What is the probability? How frequent that issues that actually affecting you, that hinder your progress? And then what you have currently to control that. You have something, then you perhaps can move on to another step, but you don't have anything. Think about it. What can you do? Then ranking. Ranking means you have to prioritize. For example, you have 10 issues here, but I don't think so you have time to deal with all 10. right? So perhaps you can deal with maybe the top 3, which is give you the most headache one, give the most impact to your company, will actually affect your company reputation, or you have to bear the cost on certain mistake they have done, right? So give the ranking. So choose the top 3 or maybe top 2, right? To move on first. Now we have finished this part, and then what else? We need to mitigate. We have identified, we have to do the prioritize. Now we choose the top 2. For us, we choose the poor documentation for this webinar purposes. So we have to have a control plan on how to move on. Perhaps we have to have a sign-off exercise. Every time when developer asks you to change something, they agree on that, ask them directly sign on the plan and then put a date. I encountered before developer refused to do so. They said, no, I'm not going to sign. I already told you so. It's okay. Just walk away. You just put the date yourself, sign on, and then when go back to office, translate whatever verbally told you to writing. It's good that you can put in a letter form, right? If let's say you have no time, just send out an email first, a simple email to protect yourself. So they don't respond anything means okay already lah, right? So this is the small little things that I will do for my own practice because I have been hit hard a lot in my practice since day one. So this is what I picked up and then I'm practicing it and even until now. So filing system, you have to have a good filing system. Filing not in terms of the hard copy only, soft copy as well. So everyone in the office have to know the filing system. For example, how you name your letter. Is it letter 1, letter 2, letter 3? Or you want to put a date in front, only you put the letter, then only you quote the letter is to who? Contractor. So it's like a clear system. So everyone has to follow the same system so that it won't mix up. And then it's good that to have a server so that everyone can have to share the same file. So whatever latest one will be updated into the server. So whoever want to work on the project have to retrieve it from the server. So you must have the server in place or perhaps to assign someone to actually monitor on that. Keep it as a habit. Whatever plans or letters or whatever that are already completed on that particular day, just put back saved in the server so that tomorrow, if let's say someone will take over, they will know which is the latest, right? So you must have a good filing system. Same goes to hard copy. You have to have a proper one. How to actually let your people easy to find all those documents when the person in charge is not around or the person in charge already resigned and go to another company, right? You won't know. So don't rely on people to work. Rely on the system. You have set up your own system. Superseded. A lot of companies have already practicing this, but some don't. Still just a pencil scrap off kind of thing. So it's good that you just buy a chalk to chop it on with the red ink. That is very clear and then file it. So people will know, oh, okay, this drawing or this document already supersede. So we are not going to deal with it, but keep it. Don't throw away, keep it. You may want to use it one day. If let's say any dispute, you won't know, right? So don't underestimate how the dispute will come to you. You just won't know from every single angle, I can tell you. Cancel. This superseded and cancel chop is very important. It's just that you have to make sure that the person in charge or the one who handle the project, the team that handle the project, have the same practice, have the same habit. Just do it in a daily basis. Don't put it there after the meeting, come back and then without filing, put it on the tray. After sometimes you will forget what you have done, right? Whether this plan, is it superseded already? Which plan is going to take now to meeting? So don't, just keep a habit. Now, last part, monitor. After you have put out a plan, you put it in action, you have to monitor. Monitor whether the plan actually give result that you want or not. Are you happy with the result? Is it effective? Is it help you to reduce your burden? Does it help you to reduce your headache by having so much complaint, right? And if let's say you are not happy, just review it regularly, maybe once a week, you should look into that. And then if let's say for those who is good, just maintain it. And for those who is not that good, maybe you can do some improvement on it. or perhaps just totally change it. Do some enhancement and improvement in order to help. Just I'm doing this in my letter of moment, especially my LOA. I keep on improving and enhance it to make it solid proof, because I won't know what will happen next, right? Okay, we have all these 4 things in mind: identify, prioritize, mitigate, monitor. I hope you all can follow me. This is more strategized. I mean, there's a strategy for you to deal with it, and you have to sit down with a blank paper and then keep on writing on it. Only you will visualize the whole picture, then only you know which actually giving the most problem to your company now, which cause you to enter in the dispute. Or you may not enter into the dispute, but you have learned something from other people's mistake. So you may just sit down and think, identify the issue one by one. Perhaps it will be a complicated things for a big project. So don't force yourself to go for big project first. You can start from a small little project. Then only then you move on slowly. All right, you have to start doing that. So see that, is it that method actually help you change to get a better result in order to avoid dispute. So beside this, I have another 8 tips which I'm practicing currently, and this is my collection, my so-called collection, because I have a lot of bullet already. So it's like bulletproof already now. It's like I know what to do, what I'm not going to do, or I'm preparing for more bullet to come to me, in fact. All right. Now, what are the 8 tips? First, we're talking about awareness. Why I put this very important, the awareness in mind first. There are people signing without knowing what they're signing. I'm one of them those days, because too busy. It's just too busy. So you must aware what you're doing at that moment. Be present at the moment, aware what you are signing, aware what you're talking, aware what you are sending out. Don't rush. There are things that because you tend to rush, and then it will actually come back and hit you one day, you won't know. Okay? Second is you must have foresight. You must foresee. Things may not happen now, but you must be able to project. You must sit down and think ahead that what if this happened? What is the worst case scenario that could happen from the action that you have taken today? You have foresight. Perspective. What I meant by that. I always like to say, try to put ourselves in other people's shoes. What will we react, or what will we think? What is our idea, or what our perspective on that particular statement that we have made, or on the particular letter or instruction that we have issued out? So it's always a good practice that keep your email with you for a couple of minutes, or letter after you draft, just keep it with you. Keep on reading, and then put yourself in the receiver's shoes. For example, you are going to issue an instruction to a contractor. When contractor receive this instruction, are they clear about what you're trying to instruct them to do? Do they know that what is the next course of action they are going to take? And what are the documents that they want to send it to you? Or by when they want to send it to you? If let's say they didn't send it to you by a certain date, what is the consequences? So this kind of things will trigger you to think, to have a comprehensive email and letter to be drafted before you send something out, which the things will actually come back to you. So whatever you send out, come back to you, and then you have to reply, and then come back to you, have to reply. It's actually a waste of time. Spend a little bit of time, strategize, read through your letter or your email or your WhatsApp. WhatsApp is also very important. To see, is there any loophole or not that people will counter-attack you? People will kick the ball back to you, and you need to sit down and think, oh yeah, what is that? Actually, what am I doing? What I want them to do? Perhaps you are not clear as well. So make yourself very clear before you send anything out. Especially WhatsApp. WhatsApp is very, very dangerous. With the okay can mean anything, you know, right? So don't simply say okay, right? So evaluate, remove, or reduce. Keep on reviewing, keep on evaluate things that on our hand, the project that we are handling. remove the unnecessary things that will cause you problem and reduce that. If let's say already happened, try to think of a way to reduce that. And then protect. I think very clear, protect, how to protect ourselves. Right, documents. We always talk about records. That is very important. Even WhatsApp, also very important. So don't delete all the records. If let's say you want to change your phone or delete it, just maybe save it or transfer it into your computer, just to keep that, so that you don't know that one day things will hit you or not. Discuss, follow up, or update. So when talk about discussion, we are working in a team. We are not work alone. So when working in a team, you must have a regular meeting with your team member and to follow up with them, what is happening, to update you what is happening and what is the action they are going to take, right? Before you actually give your idea, or maybe you can discuss over on what is the best solution. If let's say anything crop up, any dispute is likely to happen or already happened, right? So have a frequent discussion. You can set a day, for example, maybe every Friday before everyone left office. So you can actually sit down and discuss, go through every single thing with everyone, inclusive draft person, which is in the team, right? So everyone is on the same page. Everyone know what is going on this particular project, what is the stage of the project, right? Review and change, as what I said earlier in this ISO method that I adopted. We need to keep on reviewing and change those not that effective method, then improve on that. So last but not least, backup. Always have a backup plan. If let's say this cannot work, what is our plan B? What is our plan C? Right? So with all this backup, you will have more confidence. I think you can have more confidence when handling a dispute. What else you can do if let's say this doesn't work out, right? So always have that mindset. So these are some 8 tips. These tips is not exhaustive. This list is not exhaustive. I want to clarify that. It's just that I collected this based on my own experience, right? So I would like just to share with you. Perhaps you may not agree with me, but you can have your own list. This is what I have that really helped me throughout these few years in avoiding construction dispute. So let me quote you a simple layman example. How to link construction dispute. Do you agree with me that construction dispute is just like a building is on fire? And we as an architect is just like a fireman. Every day we are fighting fire, busy fighting fire, but is that our main job? No, that is not our main job. But why? Why we every day keep on doing that? Right? So I always say when dispute happen, it will actually drain out my energy and time. I have no time. And I know money cannot necessarily buy my time. You may disagree, you can say, I can actually engage someone to actually handle all these things. Just pay somebody to manage it. Yeah, I fully agree with you. But when dispute happen, they will come after you. So you yourself have to go and answer. So you have to understand everything inside out of the particular project and dispute. So don't too rely on people that working for you. So I always want to find a balance in terms of time and cost. I know I don't have time. And if let's say I have ever caught into a dispute, I will spend more time to keep on fighting the fire. And perhaps I may spend more money to engage a lawyer to fight for that. And with time and cost has been drained out, when am I going to deliver a quality job? No, we won't deliver a quality job with all these things hanker in mind. All right, so that will jeopardize our reputation as well. So it's just not worth it. So, question back to you to ponder. How you define a good fireman? Do you think a good fireman is someone who is skillful enough to putting off the fire? Or is someone that no need to do anything to put down the fire? So to me, a good fireman is someone who always do the preventive job. They prevent the fire from happen. so that they no need to put down the fire. So as an architect, can we just focus on what we enjoy doing every day? Can we just focus on what we always dream of, what we want to do when we graduated as an architect? So if let's say you keep on busy putting down the fire, you are not a good fireman. So one day, if let's say people ask you, what is your job scope? Perhaps you can answer them, I'm actually a firefighter. Actually, don't laugh, Perhaps some of you may laugh behind this camera, don't laugh. Why this firefighter coming in? This is actually someone who actually quoted me like a firefighting mode, always firefighting. I'm always busy. And this friend of mine is not construction industry person. Of course, they don't know about the job as an architect. What are we doing? Right? They only know you need to do design. But ended up, I keep on telling them I'm busy. I just can't make it to some gathering, to some drinking. I'm busy. Busy for what? I'm now fighting fire. So that's how this term coming up. Don't be a fireman. Keep on fighting fire. Be a good fireman. If let's say you want to choose to be a fireman, be a good fireman. Okay, still remember this picture? Migraine and headache. Now I'm going to bring these questions back to you. After listening to me for more than 1.5 hours, now, as usual, when you're facing a headache or migraine, what will you do? A, I don't know. B, take Panadol and rest. C, ask why. D, how to avoid. So now I have adding one more choices for you. So what is your choice now? Will you change your mind? Right, come share in the chat, please. Wow, that's good. D, yeah, a lot of D. A lot of D, C and D. Okay, good. Choose B some more. C. Okay, a lot of D. Okay, thank you so much. I see lots of the text now. So now you should know how to actually have the mindset of how to avoid dispute. So let me continue. By having these 4 ABCD answers, right, it actually represent how your mind think when you are facing a dispute, or if let's say you don't have any dispute, you actually learn from somebody's mistakes and you want to prevent it. It's actually a box, the box that your mind is in now. So for the first one, those who choose I don't know, but I don't think so I see anyone choose I don't know, right? So at least you know what to do. Nothing good will happen. In fact, the worst case will happen, keep on happen until you learn and you move on. So for those who choose B, at least you do something, take Panadol and rest. And what is that? It's actually a quick fix. I could have a simple example, just that we went for building inspection. We see some watermark on the wall. But our advice to the owner is, it's okay. You just paint it off, it will cover the watermark. Do you think you are solving the problem? Actually, no. There is only a quick fix. The watermark will reoccur again, right? So for those who choose Y, that is good. At least you do some corrective action. You know that something not right. You try to correct it, right? And this is actually try not to get the situation from getting worse. Back to the example of the damages, the dampness on the wall. So by asking why, you manage to fix, to find out the root cause and then fix the problem. So why there is some patch of watermark on the wall? Is it something wrong? What is the next of this wall? What is the shared room behind this wall? Is it a bathroom? So if let's say is it a bathroom, is there any water tap on that particular wall? Is there any piping concealed inside the wall? Or is the piping leaked already? Is there leakage in the piping? Or perhaps some waterproofing issue? Is there any waterproofing? Is that working well? So by keep on asking why, you can find the answer and then fix the root cause. That is the corrective action, right? So D, proactive. Be proactive. That is the attitude of a good fireman. Don't busy putting down the fire. That is not our job, right? So be very proactive so that we can avoid all those unnecessary disputes. So I've shared how. Now, back to our summary here. Let me sum up from the 11 a.m. I talked until now, what I have shared with you all. Whenever I receive a project brief, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Do you agree with me? What you can't see is actually a lot of possible risks that will come after us. So I always say that don't happy when there's a new project coming in. Sit down and ponder over before you take on the project. It's worth the time to do that. So in our daily life, we always have to make decisions. So every decision we make, there is some circumstances we have to bear, the consequences. So we have to make a very wise decision in order to avoid any dispute that will give us headache in our daily life. How to have the joy of missing out in construction dispute? In summary, please follow scale of minimum fees. This is very important. In fact, scale of minimum fees covered almost everything. So second, in a letter of appointment, you may actually add on certain clauses, dispute resolution clauses, no discount clauses, late payment interest, no conditional payment clauses, payment terms, right? So risk management. Carry out some risk management for a simple project first, can try it out. For those company, I think some big company may have ISO, so perhaps you already practice it, and whether you manage to get the result as what you intended to, I wouldn't know, but at least you have done something on it. So be proactive, and also lastly, you have a backup plan. Must have a backup plan no matter what. You must back yourself up because nobody will back you up when things happen. So I'm going to leave you all with this last quote here. Nothing will change unless you change. Thank you very much for your precious time. I hope you enjoyed the session. So I shall now take the Q&A.
All right. Thank you, Architect Heng, for the insightful presentation. Now we're moving to the Q&A session. So I just picked up where we left the question just now in the Q&A box provided.
Okay,
So you want to read your own question or you want me to read for you?
Okay, let me check. Okay, I'll read myself. I can see.
Sure, go ahead. All right.
Okay, I'm actually looking at the chat now. I can see someone posted some comment here. Change the mindset. Yeah, okay, we should actually change our mindset in dealing with dispute. By doing that, we can actually minimize a lot of things that's going to happen on us. So most importantly, make friends with the team will help to look out for tax interests. Be humble and you may get the solution from your teammates. Technical problems can always be solved. Human problems, simple things also become. Yeah, I think I fully agree with this Xiong Yao Tan. Most of the time, we are actually not handling project. We are handling people. We have to brush up our people skill rather than project and our knowledge. So I not to say whether I agree or disagree, but try to find a balance. In order to spend 80% of our time to manage people, can we have a balance on that, right? So agree, be kind and persistent, make friends, not enemy. Yeah, true. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, I'll move on to the Q&A box now. Nani, I don't know why my screen is blacked out now.
Okay.
Help me on
I
that.
need to read out for you.
Yeah, please. I don't know why.
Okay, sure. All right. So there's one question from, hang on, yeah. Okay. Let me scroll over the question. All right. This one from unknown. It doesn't state the name. Mentioned that SIPA claiming architect fees must also need look into the fee. Is it against the SOMF? So should SIPA fee claim which against the SOMF under the Act? What is your view?
Oh, okay. SIPA not necessarily, SIPA actually not looking into the scale of minimum fees. It's actually look into the construction contract that you are having with the other party, with developer or with the individual client. But bear in mind, SIPA is not governed for those individual owner, right? So it's nothing to do with scale minimum fee. So long you have an agreement, a contract agreement with another party, you can actually go for SIPA to help you out if let's say you want to. Yeah, back to you, Nanu. I still
Okay. All right. So we're moving to next question. All right. What is the meaning and how to apply the mentality of joy of missing out in dealing with construction dispute? Is it as long as you have done your best and your part, do not be afraid to deal with it and walk away in the end?
Okay. After 1.5 hours of sharing, I think I have shared the tips there. That is the practical tips which I have adopted for so many years, and that tips was keep on increasing, keep on adding in throughout my own experience and also what I have learned from others people's experience. So I do believe by doing that, putting that into your own company practice, it should be help you to reduce your like how likely you are going to enter into construction dispute. You cannot cut down 100%, but bring down 80% of that. You only have maybe 20% to deal with. That should be okay. And most importantly, you must have a good documentation. You must back yourself up with a lot of writing documentation so that whenever dispute come in, you have things to support you, you have the evidence to support you. Don't verbal, don't just talk like this. You have to have some solid evidence. Even though you don't go for SIPA, you go to court. You also need to have proof some evidence that you are right? So just keep the good practice. I think poor documentation is one of them which hit us badly. And we have to improve our documentation system in our company. I'm not saying that by practicing what I shared, I totally out of dispute. I still having some dispute, but that is manageable. And that won't actually get the other party to hold me to court. I'm free from all this. It's just that we still have some discussion ongoing. We can resolve it amicably in friendly manner. And a lot of these clients which owe me money during this pandemic, I'm still okay. In fact, I need to very tolerate because it's not what they want. It's not what we want as well. So we have to really consider it and think about what is the next course of action or what is the proposal that we have to give to them. Yeah. So I'm actually having that, and I'm still in a good talking term with those clients who still owe me money. So they are fine. So you have to depends on the situation and which client are you deal with. If let's say you are dealing with a very nasty client, you can sense that because all of us, when we go to talk to someone, you should have some gut feeling, right? Your gut feeling won't go wrong, whether you feel comfortable or not. Right? If let's say you don't feel comfortable with it, just walk away. And by walking away, you have to bear in mind, there must be some cost to be paid by you. Perhaps you may not be able to claim back your fees, or perhaps they may sue you or whatever. So you have to think in a bigger picture. You have to sit down and strategize it and look at what situation are you in now, and what is your company position now, what is the project stage now, and then what is the developer position now. So you have to look at the broad picture, a bigger spectrum before you take any action. Yeah. So that is my best answer that I can answer to you. Yeah, thank you very much for the questions.
So moving on to the next question is from Mr. Shahul Hamid Muhammad Ali. You've been asking with LOA, COE, and MOA, got any additional clauses need to add?
LOA, what is that? The second one?
COE and MOA.
Okay, that is what I have in mind now. But so long you follow the scale of minimum fees, right? If let's say you have a copy of that, right? In fact, there's a third schedule, condition of engagement of a professional architect. It almost covered everything, you know. So you just add in some in your letter of appointment to make it solid proof. So you may come up with your own by adding more from what I've just shared. It's okay, so long you feel comfortable before you enter into a contract. All this is to protect yourself in case you happen to need to be enter into a dispute with the developer, right? So that's my view on that.
All right, I think we're going to take two more questions. Okay, so it's from unknown attendees. The question is about, isn't LAM gonna apply the system that the payment to architect by the client to go through LAM, like the surveyor fee? So when will it apply?
Pardon, when
will be applied?
Okay, I have no idea. This question, I think I don't have the authority to answer. Perhaps we can actually suggest this to LAM, see whether LAM can respond on this or not. Right. But my point is it's not so much about what LAM can do. It's what we can do as an architect to protect our own interests. I think everyone is aware, although the surveyors having the fees to be paid to their board, but there's a lot out there. They are actually, after taking the fees from the board, they are paying back to the developer as a discount. So what is the point of imposing that rules, right? There's still a loophole that people will go for it. So the questions that we should ask ourselves, what can we do besides relying to what can LAM do for us? What can we do to protect our own interests so that we can quote scale minimum fees and we can get our fees paid? That is the most important question we should ask. And let's say fees already paid to the board and then you claim the fees to the board. Then the developer asks some discount from you to go back to them. And then you pass back to them. There's no point of doing that as well, right? So what is the purpose? Whether the action that take serve the purpose or not, that is very important. Yeah. So thank you very much for the questions. I hope you answer your questions.
So this is the last question. We all know about the theories dealing with developers, but most of the time we'll have limitations to apply it, especially with the big developers. They have their own system in managing project, which consultant need to use or follow. Example, using cloud software for all documentation. So what is your experience and view on this?
I think it's fine. It's fine. So long everyone is on the same page that you know where are you going to retrieve the document, and that document is going to be the latest one. And perhaps there are some amendments you wouldn't like to share with the developer due to some P&C issue. You may have your own kind of server, but you no need to tell the developer that I have my own. I just put it to you what you need. You no need to disclose all this, right? It's all your internal company's adjustment. How are you going to arrange all this within your company? So I think it's okay. So long the system work, so long everyone know what they are doing, so long everyone know which is the latest documents to retrieve from, which is the latest drawings to retrieve from, to work on that. I think, yeah, that's my point.
Okay. Right, thank you, Architect Heng. I think that's all for today, because I think we have gone through all the question and answer session in the chat box and also in the Q&A box provided. So once again, thank you to Architect Heng for good sharing today. All right. So before we wrap up, please be informed on our next event. We have two upcoming events, which is on PAM Digital Series on the 6th of October with the title "An Accelerator to a New Age Workplace Risk Assessment, Health, Safety and Design." This is a collaboration between PAM KL and PAM Southern Chapter, a new series called PAM Digital Series. And then the second event is on designing for the future of the planet based on the science of ecology on the 13th October. This was under PAM online design lecture series by architect Dr. Kenya. So you can register via link as stated in the poster, or you can refer to the chat box as we have shared the link there, okay? So once again, don't forget to do your sign out to get CPD point, the most important part, by scanning the QR code or key in the link given in your browser. From there, it will direct you to Google Form where you need to fill up your sign in and sign out code, okay? If you're having any technical problem in getting the CPD point, you can always email to our technical email, pamonlineseries@gmail.com. So ladies and gentlemen, I guess this will mark the end of our seminar. Once again, thank you Architect Heng for your sharing today. And to all participants, thanks all for joining. I'm Nani Muhammad Noor. Stay safe and have a good weekend. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining me today, and have a great weekend.